This conference will now be recorded.
Karma Siddhi. Karma Siddhi is a lecture series based on the mode of action of Panchakarma, which is being organized by the Department of Panchakarma, Ashtanga Ayurveda Vidyapeetham, Chirasalayam. Today, Dr. Binita A., Professor of Department of Panchakarma, CPSV Ayurveda College, Kottakkal, will be getting us acquainted to the mode of action of Nasya. I would like to welcome you, ma'am, on behalf of Ashtanga family. Next, I would like to welcome Vaidyan Budri, HOD of Department of Shalyanandra. I welcome you, sir. I would like to welcome Dr. Ramya, Vice Principal and HOD of Department of Panchakarma, and also Vaidyan Sri Parvati, ma'am, Assistant Professor of Department of Panchakarma. I welcome you, ma'am. Last but not the least, I would like to welcome all the delegates and my classmates to this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiran. Thank you. As we continue with our Karma Siddhi series, as a representative of Ashtanga Ayurveda Vidyapeetham, we are extremely happy to have Dr. Purushothaman Namudri, who is our medical superintendent as well as HOD, Department of Shalyatantram, our ex-vice principal with us to felicitate the occasion. I very wholeheartedly welcome Purushothaman sir to please address the gathering. Sir, please.
Namaskaram. Namaskaram, madam. This Karma Siddhi series ഏറ്റവും ഫലപ്രദമായി നടക്കട്ടെ എന്നും ഇതിന്റെ കർമ്മസിദ്ധിയുടെ ഉദ്ദേശം തന്നെ പഞ്ചകർമ്മങ്ങളുടെ എല്ലാ പഞ്ചകർമ്മങ്ങളും അതെങ്ങനെയാണ് വളരെ ഭംഗിയായിട്ട് നടക്കുന്നത് എന്നുള്ളത് വ്യക്തമായി തിരിച്ചറിയുക എന്നതാണ് ഓരോ വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളും നിർബന്ധമായും ഈ BAMS പഠനകാലത്ത് അറിഞ്ഞിരിക്കേണ്ടത്. അപ്പൊ അത്തരം ഒരു ഗംഭീര സംരംഭം ഓർഗനൈസ് ചെയ്ത പഞ്ചകർമ്മ ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റിന് എല്ലാവിധ അഭിനന്ദനങ്ങളും അറിയിക്കുന്നു. അതോടൊപ്പം ഈ ഇന്നത്തെ ക്ലാസ് ഗംഭീരമാക്കാൻ അഷ്ടാംഗത്തിന്റെ ക്ഷണം സ്വീകരിച്ച് ഇവിടെ എത്തിച്ചേർന്ന ക്ലാസ് എടുക്കാൻ എത്തിയ ബിനിത മാഡത്തിനെ ഒരിക്കൽ കൂടി ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാമിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുകയും ഇത് ഏറ്റവും നല്ലൊരു ക്ലാസ്സായി മാറുമെന്ന് നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും ഉറപ്പുണ്ട്. കാരണം അത്രയും ഒരുപാട് കാലത്തെ ടീച്ചിങ് എക്സ്പീരിയൻസും ക്ലിനിക്കൽ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസും ഒക്കെ ഉള്ള ഒരു മാഡമാണ്. അപ്പോ മാഡത്തിന് അത് വളരെ ഭംഗിയായിട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും എന്നത് നമുക്ക് ഉറപ്പാണ്. അപ്പൊ അത്തരം നല്ലൊരു ക്ലാസ് എല്ലാവർക്കും നന്നായി കേൾക്കാനും അതിന്റെ അനുഭവങ്ങൾ ഭാവിയിൽ ഒരുപാട് ഉപകാരപ്രദമാകും എന്ന് വിശ്വസിക്കുന്നു. ഈ ക്ലാസ്സിന് എല്ലാവിധ അഭിനന്ദനങ്ങളും അറിയിക്കുന്നു. നന്ദി, നമസ്കാരം.
Thank you, Purushothaman sir. As far as we are concerned, this class is very special to us, Department of Panchakarma, because ഞാനും ശ്രീ പാർവതി ഡോക്ടറും രണ്ടുപേരും കോട്ടക്കൽ പഠിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ആൾക്കാരാണ് BAMS ന്. So we have our teacher. I think Binita madam has started her career when she was teaching us. We were her initial students. So we are very happy that we are able to listen to her once again in a class. Okay, and I think we have Dr. Arun B. Warrier also with us, who is our Kaumaram Department HOD. And I would request Arun, if you could hear, please unmute and speak a few words about the session and for our Binita madam. Arun?
Namaskaram, teacher. Thank you so much, Ramiji, for inviting me. It's actually a pleasure to be here because, as told by you, we were always eager to hear her class. Am I audible? Hello?
Yeah, you're audible, Arun.
Okay, fine. So, without making much delay, I would express my thanks to the Department of Panchakarma for organizing such a wonderful series and inviting respected faculties like Dr. Binita Madam to the session. Thank you so much, Madam, for being with us.
Okay. So thank you, Arun. Thank you. So once again, we are very happy to have Binita Madam with us. So directly into the session for all your information. We will be having our session for nearly 45 to 1 hour, and then we can have an interactive session for the next half an hour. All our final year students from all colleges, we are very happy to have you all, and we expect a very active discussion. This we have arranged here not just for covering your syllabus points or making you what you call empowered as far as exam is concerned. No, that is not our target. Panchakarma, which is the most important weapon of an Ayurveda physician in combating the disease, it has to be thought over very precisely. It has to be executed very sensibly, considering many things. In that aspect, how every procedure acts on the body with respect to the doshavastha, vyadhyavastha, prakriti, kala, the patient as a whole is very relevant. And these Karma Siddhi series, we hope to unveil the entire process of the way how each procedure or each karma act on the body. So with this background, I invite our Binita Madam to continue the session. Madam, please.
Thank you, Team Ashtanga, for that nice piece of introduction. I'm very happy to be with you all. First of all, let me congratulate the team Panchakarma of Ashtanga Ayurveda College for organizing a webinar on such a very relevant topic, which have always been very confusing during our college days. So let me begin by screen sharing. Good afternoon, all. The mode of action of Nasya is very vaguely explained in the text. Not just mode of action of Nasya, all the karmukata of Panchakarma procedures are very vaguely explained. And as with like most other concepts of Ayurveda, everyone may have a version, different version, or they have their own version of the same. So here I will try to explain the mode of action of Nasya in the light of some modern science knowledge. The Upakramanam Sarvesham Agrani is told in the case of Vasti. But I would say Nasya is one of the best Panchakarma. You know why? The Vasti is called so because of its Anega Karma Karatva. But there are some reasons to call Nasya as one of the best. Though Nasya is described in the later portions of the text, describing Panchakarma, you see, when Nasya or when Panchakarmas are to be done in an order, or when all the Panchakarmas are to be done, it should be performed in an order. The order described in the text, that is Sneha, Sweda, then later Vamana Virejana, then Vasti, and then only Nasya. So it is described only in the later portions. Why it is so? It is because the Kaya Shuddhi should be performed before the Urdhva Shuddhi, isn't it? So though Nasya is described later, it is nevertheless not a very degraded or to be considered as a not a sought after procedure. But considering the amount of Nasya procedures done in our hospitals, we can say that Nasya is one of the best. These are some of the reasons. It is a Panchakarma for Urdhva Jatra Vigara, or it is the Panchakarma for Shiras, or the Uttamanga. The Uttamanga Why it is called Uttamaga, we all know. It is a seat of prana, it is a seat of indriyas and many vital organs. Another reason is it is indicated, it is the only panchakarma which is indicated for daily practice. The Nasya, though in a milder form, is described in the Dinacharya. Another reason is it is indicated for all ages. Nasya it can be performed from a child to the aged, to the very old. That is Ajanma Maranam Shastam Pradimarshastu Vastivat. And Nasya can be administered very easily. It can be done in OPD level also. There are several points we will discuss regarding this easy administration. And there is a wide range of clinical application for Nasya, from cosmetic to Pumsavana to menstrual disorders, several clinical applications. So Nasya can be considered as one of the best Panchakarma. In the later on slides, we will discuss the more of the practical utility of this Nasya too. This is a reference of Nasya in Adhyatma Ramayana. I don't know whether you have found it. If you read the Yuddha Kanda, you can find mention of Nasya, where when Lakshmana faints with that weapon of Ravana, he is brought to life by the Vishalyakarani Nasya, Vishalyakarani Aushada brought by Hanuman, and that is instilled into his nose to wake him up. So Nasya is a very age-old technique practiced by the Indians, and not just very old. In common clinical practice also, Nasya is very widely used. We will just ponder through some of the common clinical practices of Nasya. It is very commonly practiced in the Ardhida, Ardhide Navanam. It is the foremost treatment for Ardhida. In Pakshakada also, Nasya is very widely performed with a variety of tailas. In many Vadavyadis also, like Parkinsonism, multiple sclerosis, dystonia, cerebral, many conditions involving the many neurological conditions, you find Nasya as a major treatment. There's some difficulty in changing the slides, I think.
Should I do the screen share?
Let me Parvati. Like it is not moving. Okay. Then in pathological conditions like cervical spondylosis, frozen shoulder, or the many spectrum of disorders we call under Avabahuga also, Nasya is useful. In the Shirashula spectrum, like sinusitis, migraine, tension, headache, where the Nasya is very commonly practiced with a wide variety of medicines like Tulsi Swarasa, Pipilya Churna, Asavas are used, Tailas are used, and even Rasa preparations find use in Shirashula. It is also used in many Nasa rogas like chronic allergic rhinitis, Nasa Pradinaha, in many Netra rogas like Abhishyanda, diabetic retinopathy, retinitis pigmentosa. Nasya is often the last resort. In Karna rogas also, Nasya is very useful. In dermatological conditions like the seborrheic dermatitis, scalp psoriasis also Nasya finds use. You may remember the famous slogan in Kushta Chikitsa, like Pakshat Chardanani Abhyubeyat, Masat Chodhanani Abhyadastat, Shuddhar Murdhani Syat, Tridatrat. So in Kushta Chikitsa also Nasya finds use. How it is so? Especially in Kushta confined to the upper part of the body, Nasya should be useful. Another common application of Nasya is in Kshudra Rogas like Indralupta, Akala Bali, Palida, Vyanga, etc. In Manasika Rogas also Nasya finds use. As Sheila says, also called the seat of prana. In many psychoneurological conditions affecting children like autism, ADHD, and many, there may be many conditions, Nasya is useful. And another very unique application of Nasya is in endocrinal disorders affecting women like dysmenorrhea, PCOD, infertility, and even in hyperthyroidism, Nasya is effective, or Nasya is practiced. An astonishing effect of Nasya is in its application in the jaundice. Devadali Thaladasa is used for Nasya in this condition. This has been studied in RGHS Bangalore, that this Nasya is very useful to treat jaundice. And I have also seen Dr. Gopakumar sharing a video in his classes wherein the Nasya, in a jaundice patient, this Nasya was administered, and after some time, the bile was dripping from her nose, and it was collected in a kidney tray. So how all this Nasya is working, we are still groping in the dark. And in Visha Chikitsa also, in toxicology also, Avapida Nasyas like Villavadi Kuligalishuna Swarasa and all is done. And another applicability of Nasya is in you find in the traditional Kerala text. In the traditional texts like Yoga Amrita, Chikitsa, Manjari, and all, we find that many references, there are many treatment regarding Virechana and Nasya. And you find very vague references or meager references regarding the Vasti or Vamana. So among the Panchakarmas, Nasya and Virechana was very widely practiced in Kerala. And you find very rare type of Nasyas, or rare which are still unexplored medicines you find in those texts, like Kushmanda Swarasa Nasya, Njwara, Chandana Nasya, Arkadi Nasya, and even with animal products you find, like Krugavagu, that is Kodikatam, then Indrani Taila, Lohidandadi Taila, and so you find that Nasya can be practiced or was practiced, can be practiced in a wide variety of clinical conditions with a wide variety of medicines. That is the clinical importance of Nasya. And why is Nasya so much important? Or why is the nasal root so much important? Over the last few years, we find that the intranasal route has emerged as a promising approach. In modern medicine, they use this route for applying insulin as nasal sprays, then oxytocin, many steroids, anesthetics, and analgesics. Everything is introduced to this nasal route. It is a very favorite route of drug delivery. What are the advantages of this nasal route? It is a non-invasive drug administration route. Non-invasive means you don't have to introduce any instrument into the body to perform this karma. We are instilling drops or sniffing the medicine. Another peculiarity is that the drug does not undergo degradation in the gut wall as it is directly absorbed into the systemic circulation, there is the metabolism by the liver is also prevented. And as drugs are directly absorbed, there is rapid attainment of therapeutic blood levels with quicker onset of pharmacological activity. And it can be used for both local and systemic delivery. Local in the sense like decongestants, anti-allergens, etc. Can be delivered locally for local conditions, and for systemic conditions, the insulin, steroids and all are administered. Another peculiarity of the nasal route is that the nasal cavity has a large surface area, and the high vascularity of that surface enables dose reduction too. So we need administer only small doses as Nasia. There are many more advantages for Nasia. This we may all know that there is a nose-brain pathway. It is a favorable way to bypass the obstacles for blood-brain barrier. There is drug delivery from the nose to the central nervous system through the olfactory tract. And it is a useful alternative to the intestinal route of drug absorption, as in a GI route, but for those who or the drugs is preferred. And another advantage is it has fewer side effects compared to other karmas also. Other panchakarma procedures like Vamana or Vilejana or Vasti, this has fewer side effects. In modern parlance also it is same. Another great advantage is that it is a easily accessible route, unlike the vaginal or the rectal route, and hence it is very convenient, and the patients are compliant to this procedure. Even with those advantages, there are some limitations for the nasal route. It is a nasal irritation. The nasal mucosa is very sensitive, and even the thylas also can be very irritating to the nose. So we have to be very careful. And compared to the GI tract, the surface area for absorption is less. And there is also a mucosal barrier. The barrier is that there is always a mucociliary clearance in the nasal cavity. So that can affect with the drug absorption. And frequent use can cause mucosal damage, as the nasal mucosa is very sensitive, very vascularized. The frequent use of the drugs can cause mucosal damage, and that may be why our course of nursing is restricted to 7 days or maximum 21 days, and that too with a milder form. And another limitation is that the toxicity of the drugs on the cells has not yet been studied. So we don't know how much toxicity our drugs will cause. So we have to be careful while administering medicines. And another limitation of the nasal route is that the nasal congestion interferes with the drug delivery, because that will reduce the rate of absorption. Or it will affect the permeability of the nasal mucosa. So, coming to our main topic, that is the Nasya Karmagada. This is a quotation slogan we often quote for Nasya Karmagada. Nasahi Shiriso Dwaram Tatra Avasejidam Aukshadam Sroda Sringadagam Prapya Vyapya Chamurdhanam Netra Srotra Kandhadi Sira Mukhani Cha Munjadishigami Vasaktam Urdhajatrugada Vaigariki Asheshamashu Dosha Samhadim Uttamangad Avakarshadi. We will look into this sloka in parts. Nasahi Shiriso Dwaram. You see, there are many openings in the face. Like ears are there, eyes are there, even mouth is there. Even then, nasa or the nose is considered as the entry into the brain. Why it is so? This we will look in the later slides with the help of the anatomy of nose. And tatra avasejidam aukshadam sroda sringadagam prapya. That is the marma, the Sringadaga marma, which has a great role in the Karmagada of Nasya. So the Sringadaga is the mediator between the nose and the brain. The medicine we instill will reach the Sringadaga, and then Vyapika Murdhanam Netra Srotra Kanthani Siramukhani. It will spread to the Murdha, Netra, Srotra, through the Sira. Hello. Okay. Am I audible?
Yes,
Srotra Kandhadi Sira Mukhani, or it will spread through this from the Sringadaga to the Murdha, Netra, Srotra, Kandha through the Siras and remove the dosha or the Ulklishta doshas causing the Urdha Jatrugada Vigaras. How? That Drishtanda or that example is very important. Munja Ishigami Vasikta. Munja is a trina. It's a trina vishesha or a grass, a type of grass. Ishiga is a thorn, a form of the thorn is a part of that trina or the grass. And how that trina, how that ishiga or that thorn is removed from the trina with the help of a garbhashalaga. It is very difficult to remove that thorn from that grass, and likewise the dosha samhadi in the Urdhva Jatru is removed through Nasya. So that clearly explains the excretory action of Nasya. Whereas the other actions of Nasya like absorptive or the Brahmana part is not mentioned here. So that is regarding the Nasya Karmagada explained in our text. We will go deep into this Nasahi Shirasa Dwaram. So the Nasya, the mode of action here in this presentation, I would like to explain in terms of the structure, the procedure and the medicine. All these three aspects will be considered while describing the mode of action. Nasahi Shiriso Dwaram. How that nose is the entrance to the or entry into the brain. You see that nose is an organ performing different functions. Like it helps in the breathing, it resonates our voice, it helps in the defense mechanism of the air passing through it, like performing the filtration, mucociliary transport. It also humidifies the air passing through it. Apart from that, it performs another function like olfaction, and it also plays a role in the appearance of the person. So with all these functions, the prime function of the nose is in the respiration, that is to protect the lungs from the entry of harmful substances. The anatomical modifications are a proof of it. So it will basically be performing the act of respiration apart from olfaction, and also as a route of drug delivery. See, externally the nose is a pyramidal structure. It has a pyramidal shape, and this is made with the bones, cartilages, and soft tissues. These three components together make up that nasal pyramidal structure. And the rigidity of these bones and cartilages avoid collapse of the nasal mucosa during inhalation of the medicine. This is one aspect of the anatomy which is helpful for the nasal administration, or which will help in the mode of action. And another structure is the nasal valve. It is a narrow triangular shaped slit located anteriorly in the nose. There are two valves, internal and external. They act as a dynamic valve to modify the rate and direction of the airflow during respiration. And during expiration, during inspiration, the slit will narrow, and during expiration, they act as a brake to hold the air inside, or to increase the air pressure inside, or the expiratory pressure inside, and keep the pharyngeal passage open. And also the retention time of the expiratory phase is increased. The muscles like dilator nasal muscle anteriorly and posteriorly prevent the collapse of this nasal valve during inhalation of the medicine. And another important part is its structure in the vestibule of the nose, like in the lateral wall. There are many conchae or the myiatices which increase the surface area to about 160 centimeters square. The nasal cavity has a depth of about 120 to 140 millimeters, or 12 to 14 centimeters, and it is about 5 centimeters high, and it has a total volume of 16 to 19 milliliters. This volume plays a role in the matra or the pramana of the Nasya Dravya. The Uttama Matra of the Nasya is the Marsha Nasya is amounting to about only 5 milliliter, isn't it? 10 bindu. The 10 bindu will be can be equated to about 5 milliliter. So if the total volume is about 16 or about 15 milliliter, and we can instill medicine only that much amount which can hold in the nasal cavity. And in the lateral wall, we find that there are several turbinates. There is the surface is very convoluted, forming the turbinates or the conchae. This will increase the surface area, and they also increase the resistance to airflow, and they increase the contact time at the absorption site that help in the efficient drug absorption. The functional zones are divided into three, that is vestibular, turbinate or the respiratory zone, and the olfactory zone. These portions are covered with epithelium, and these epithelium are covered by numerous microvilli which further increase the surface area. So that is an advantage in the nasal cavity. The vestibular part extends anteriorly. The respiratory portion is in the middle of the medial turbinate region, middle turbinate region, and the olfactory is in the superior portion. The maximum absorption you will find in this respiratory area, because or the middle turbinate region, because that is where the drug absorption is optimal and because of the vascularization of that area. And regarding the mucus, it is hydrophilic in nature. The submucosal layer is highly vascularized, and the venous blood drain directly into the systemic circulation, avoiding hepatic first pass metabolism. And you can see in the picture that it is the cells are both ciliated and non-ciliated cells which have microvilli. Then the olfactory area, which is responsible for the nose-brain pathway. It has a surface area of about 2.5 centimeters square in each cavity. That is in both nostrils. It is the only site in the body where the central nervous system is in direct contact with the outer surface. Here, the olfactory nerve enters through the cribriform plate of the ethmoid bone. It is attached to the olfactory bulb, and this olfactory nerve is also lined with the arachnoid villi that we will see in a later slide. Then there are certain openings into the nasal cavity. Most of it opens into the middle meatus. That is the area of maximum absorption. That is the sinuses, the four sinuses, the nasolacrimal duct, the infundibulum, and the eustachian tube. So these all have clinical significance. Then with regard to the blood supply of the nasal cavity, the nasal cavity is highly vascularized, and the peculiarity of the blood vessels is that they're fenestrated. Fenestrated capillaries means they are porous or the transparent, and the porosity of the endothelial basement membrane is also a characteristic of the nasal blood vessels. These all help in the effective nasal absorption of drugs. Then with respect to the veins in the nose are valveless, and they drain mainly into the pterygoid plexus and the cavernous plexus. The cavernous plexus is very important with respect to the Karmapatha of Nasya. This cavernous sinus is able to change its blood volume in response to the neural, mechanical, chemical, psychological, or the chemical stimuli. And so the endothelium and the longitudinal muscles may therefore influence the bloodstream through the nasal cavity. The lymphatic system. The lymphatic system includes the lymphatic vessels and glands through which they pass. They drain into the lymph nodes. They are close-ended vessels called lymphatic capillaries and are found throughout the nasal mucosa. They absorb the lipids and lipid soluble compounds from the tissues and convey to circulation. Then the nerve supply. The largest cranial nerve, that is the trigeminal nerve, suppose in nasal cavity. Then the olfactory nerve, which is spread over the septum and the superior concha, and the parasympathetic fibers from the facial nerve. Most of the muscles of the nose or controlling the nasal expression are under the facial nerve. And a peculiarity of the nerves are these are non-medullated. The non-medullated means they will increase the axonal transport. That is the advantage of being non-medullated or the unmyelinated. They have greater innervation density, they say. And another important structure in the nose is the vomeronasal organ, which is a chemoreceptor in the nasal cavity. It is connected to brain through the vomeronasal terminalis nerve. It runs parallel to the olfactory bulb and the olfactory tract and ends in the hypothalamus. See, this explains the pituitary axis, the brain in the nasal drug absorption. The characteristic of the vomeronasal organ is that they influence the onset of puberty, the estrous cycle, gestation, maternal behavior, and social behavior. So this connection provides important connection between the nasal cavity, hypothalamus, and the limbs. Another peculiarity is that the gland. There are several thousand glands in the nasal cavity producing secretions. They function as a trap to hold unwanted materials and as a solvent for the drugs. This is a very important point regarding the nasal structure. This is the arachnoid villi penetrate the lamina cribrosa and ends in the nasal submucosal tissue. That is, the cerebrospinal fluid is in direct contact in the nasal cavity. So that is why when there is adiyoga of Nasya, Susruta has clearly mentioned that there will be Mastulunga Agama. And so that is with respect to the anatomical features helping or assisting in the nasal absorption of drugs. Then the Sringadaka Marma, which also plays a role in the Nasya Karmagada. Sringadaka Marma is Shiraso under Madhyamaha. That is, it is situated in the interior of the Shiras. It is a junction of several siras and it is a Srida Marma and Sadhyo Pranahara Marma. This is often correlated to the cavernous sinus. You see the cavernous sinus, it is there are many, excuse me. It is a collection of thin-walled veins creating a cavity bordered by the temporal bone and the sphenoid. And pituitary gland lies close to it. It communicates freely with the intercavernous sinuses. And it is the only anatomical location in which the artery, it is the internal carotid artery, which is passing through this venous structure. And that plays a role in the action of Nasya. See, the contents passing through the cavernous sinus. It is a plexus, cavernous plexus, internal carotid arteries and small branches, and several nerves. The internal carotid artery is divided into several segments depending on the area passing through which it passes. See the cervical segment, it supplies the canthus. The petrous segment and the lacerus segment supplies the ears. The cavernous segment is the murtha, and the ophthalmic segment the netra part. And this should be the Sringadaka Marma explained by the Acharya in the Nasya Karmagada. That is, through the Sringadaka Marma, it will reach the Murdha, Kanda, Srotra, Netra, Siramukha. So that explains clearly the role of Sringadaka Marma in the mode of action of Nasya. Next is with regard to the procedure of Nasya. You see, the procedure of Nasya, the precautions we take during the Nasya procedure plays a very important role in the mode of action, especially the Purva Karma. In the Purva Karma, we usually perform Abhyanga and Ushma Sveda. This fermentation causes the vasodilation of the blood vessels supplying the nasal cavity and the facial area. This causes a momentary hyperemia. This momentary hyperemia means there will be increased permeability of the membranes, as well as there is a decreased cerebral arterial pressure, which increases CSF pressure, and this will stimulate the Cushing's reaction. That is, there is a momentary ischemia in the brain, leading to a slush or a rapid transportation of fluids into that area. So that must be helping with the mode of action of Nasya. That is the Cushing reaction, which help in the drug absorption. So the Purva Karma performed before the Nasya, like fermentation and also Dhumapana. The Dhumapana, it will reduce the mucus secretion, which rise the nasal cavity and which favors the drug absorption, especially with respect to the Thylas or the Snehanasya. And another important aspect which should be considered with the procedure of Nasya is the posture. The posture adopted during the Nasya. That is, you have to lie supine. Prasarita Karacharanam Nadam. The legs should be in the elevated position and the head should be lowered slightly. This posture has a very important role with drug absorption. Usually there will be a 15-degree slanting of the body, and the head is also tilted in such a way that there is a 60 degree of angulation of entry, and that is altered, and there is also pooling of blood in the inverted position. That the medicine instilled into the nose will reach the interiors of the nasal cavity, will help to reach the interiors of the nasal cavity and will help in the absorption. Another aspect is with regard to the Paschat Karma. After the Nasya, Datta Matre to Karna, massage should be done on Karna, Manya, Skanda, and Ganda. This will affect the baroreceptors, or this should be stimulating the baroreceptors situated on the either side of the neck, which will further alter the cerebral arterial pressure, and as said earlier, they must be affecting the drug absorption or influencing the drug absorption by causing the Cushing's reaction. And the Paschat Karma, like the Date, Padatala, Skanda Hasta Karnadi Mardaye, and the other Paschat Karma, like Nasyante, Vakshadam Tishtet. You have to rest in the supine posture for 100 matra. And these two postures or these two positions must be helping in the increased rate of drug absorption. And the third aspect with regard to the mode of action of Nasya is the pharmacological action. The pharmacological action can be explained like this. That is, in the nasal cavity, we can say that there are three types of absorption happening. That is, olfactory and the trigeminal pathway, causing the neuronal transport into the brain tissue and the cerebrospinal fluid, the systemic circulation into the organs and the tissues, and the lymphoid lymphatic system, which also drains into the systemic circulation and absorption of drugs in the organs and the tissues. So there are three pathways working for the nasal drug delivery. And with respect to the cells, the mechanism of drug absorption is explained in two ways. One is the aqueous transport and the other is the lipoidal transport. That is, paracellular is helping with the aqueous route of transport, and the transcellular absorption is helping with the lipophilic drugs. So this will explain the Svarasa or the Virejana type of nasya and the Brahmana type of nasya. One more mechanism working in the action of nasya is the osmotic gradient. When we instill drugs, the concentration of the drugs will create a hyperosmotic environment in the nasal cavity, which will help in the absorption of active ingredients into the capillaries. So always we are using highly concentrated drugs for Virejana nasyas and all. And some of the formulation factors affecting the nasal bioavailability are the lipophilicity of the drug or the lipid sensitivity of the drugs, then molecular size. Drugs with smaller molecular size is easily absorbed into the nasal mucosa, and the mucosal contact or the nasal retention time. Nasal retention time plays a very important role in the nasal bioavailability, especially with respect to the thilas and all. They increase the mucosal contact of the drugs. And the concentration of the drugs we already discussed, and also the solution pH. The pH of the solution is also affecting the nasal bioavailability. Another factor which will help in the nasal absorption of drugs or the nasal bioavailability is the mode of administration. In modern parlance, they use several instruments like aerosols, nasal sprays, squeeze bottles and all, but we still use the old techniques like Gokarna or nasal drops or syringe is used to instill the medicine. What we have to be careful that whichever method we are using, we should be able to supply a constant dose of the medicine into the nasal cavity, and there should be uniform distribution on the nasal mucosa, whichever instrument we are using, because the mode of administration can influence the distribution of the drugs in the nasal cavity. This is an instrument which is used in the modern medicine for delivering the drugs. See, I will show you a video. See how effectively it is delivering the medicine. And we are many researchers has to be conducted for developing such type of instruments and modify the procedure of our nasya, isn't it? See, our Navana nasya, we use Taila or Krida. Even Majja and Vasa are instead for this Navana nasya can be Sneha or Chodhana. For this nasya, we use Gokarna. Piju also can be used. A study with regard to the Marsha nasya, I would like to quote here. This was done by Dr. Devi Arnayar. She did a study regarding the Paga of the Nasya Taila. It was done and in OP level, and in about 92 patients she studied, and it was found that Mrudutpaga was more effective in nasal bioavailability. That is, it is a Paga with a more active ingredient absorption, and the fluid is passing directly to capillaries without penetrating the mucociliary membrane because it was having more of hydrophilic contents in it. The Avapida nasya, we use Swarasa, Quadha, Kalka, etc. And these are performing Virejana action mostly. And so they should be causing the active transport, or by increasing the concentration and then leading to the hyperemia of the nasal membrane and then leading to the nasal absorption. In nature, they must be altering the nasal cavity environment by reducing the watery secretions and increasing the bioavailability of the drug. For this, we use usually syringe. Some also use ball pens without refill. Some also use paper paper rolled into a tube. Several methods are used, very primitive techniques. We still have to evolve that mechanism to administer these churnas into the nose. For Dhumanasya, we are using that Dhuma Yandra has to be used for administering this Dhuma. The Dhuma also must be altering the nasal cavity environment, must be helping the easy absorption of the drugs. The nasal drops or the thyla, when we instill, is said to have a more retention time in the nasal cavity, favoring immediate absorption. So we find that the Arran therapy can be excretory, stimulatory, and absorptive. And how these Virejana, Brahmana, and Shamana, how these functions are happening. And for the excretory action, there must be causing a local irritation. The Avapidanasya, the Churnanasya, even the Dhumanasya must be causing a local irritation, which is leading to a permeability, more permeability of the mucous membrane and leading to more nasal discharge. For the absorptive action, the vascular and lymphatic pathways must be coming into play. They are absorbed into the systemic circulation, which later goes into the intracranial pooling. The posture, the Cushing's reaction, all must be helping this action. And for the stimulative action, it must be the mainly the neuronal pathway, which is working with the chemoreceptors and the olfactory nerves, influencing the hypothalamo-pituitary axis, leading to the neurological and endocrinal stimulation. And to summarize, the structure of the nose plays a vital role in Nasya Karmagata. The pre and post procedures of Nasya facilitate drug absorption. The nature of the drug and the mode of administration determines the efficiency of the nasal drug delivery, and more researches in Ayurveda is required to understand Nasya Karmagata. So I hope I have conveyed the Nasya Karmagata, my version. It is actually my version. Actually, when we do this webinars, it is like speaking to a wall. There is no interaction, so it is not like you're addressing in a class. So it is very different, but still I feel you have understood. If there is any points to clarify, please come forward. And to conclude, let's keep this organ covered for the time being, as you all stay home, stay safe, and study well. Thank you all. Hello, over to you, Ramya.
Thank you, Ms.
Parvati.
This is Sri Parvati. Thank you very much for this informative speech, ma'am. And now the participants can ask any queries, if any. They can unmute themselves and ask. Miss, a few questions have come in the chat box. I shall share them. Ramanohar Sai, one of our students, asked, Lohidanta is very tikshna, and how can we use such type of dravya in Nasya? Which you had shared in your slides.
Yeah. That was a reference from the Chikilsa Manjari. That is all. I already told it is very unexplored area of Nasya. Only that there are references like that in our text. I don't have experience regarding that Lohidanta Nasya.
Okay, thank you, Miss. Another question asks is, what is the success rate of Nasya in Pumsavana? I don't know what the person means with that question, but the question is, what is the success rate of Nasya in Pumsavana? I think if that participant can unmute and ask himself.
There are papers available in the internet regarding those things. I think you can refer all those things. Actually, Pumsavana Nasya is a very controversial topic.
Okay, next a relevant question is
discussion also.
Okay. Which stage of Pakshagada we have to plan for Nasya?
In Pakshagada, the application of Nasya is with regard to the avastha of the patient, and depending on the condition of the patient, we perform several types of Nasya. Like sometimes Pradhamana Nasya is used in unconscious patients. Sometimes the Thaila Nasyas are used. It all depends on the Vyadhi Avastha, I think. And the type of Pakshagada, there are several types. Some modern concepts also will have to be discussed with regard to the application of Nasya in the Pakshagada. Like in vascular, it will be different. Symbolic, it will be different, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, another interesting question is, so Shruta mentioned 32 drops on each nostril. Practically, Uttama Matra, how we can administer?
Yes, that 32 Bindu, 64 Bindu and all, it's we have not practiced it. Those are textual references. I think maximum even 5 milliliter we administer very carefully. In the initially we start with 1 or 2 milli, and later on we increase the dose, and towards the end of the Nasya only we reach up to that 5 milliliter. Maybe that dose matra is told with respect to Nasapana and all.
Okay, Miss. The next question is, there is a message in social media saying that lemon juice can be used for nausea against COVID infection. How far is it true?
I think those such messages in the social media, we should be careful because we cannot instill an acidic solution into the nose as such, isn't it? In our text also, we don't advise Swarasas like that. Even a solution can be administered with madhu, with like, such vehicle or always mixed with honey only we administer with Tulasi Swarasa or Dronapushpi Swarasa or beat any Swarasa. So Krishna Nasyas and all, like those lemon juice and all, I think we shouldn't go after such fake messages. Rather than those um, that juices, I think the thylas should be more beneficial in strengthening the nasal mucosa. In Dinacharya also, Acharya advises to practice that Thaila Nasyas. Thaila Nevacha Nasyarte Nityabhyasena Shuddhati. So, Thaila should be used for Nasya as well as Gandusha during these COVID times so that it will strengthen the mucosa, nasal mucosa and prevent and must be helping to prevent the infection.
Okay, Miss. Another question is, what is the reason for doing Dhumapana before and after Nasya?
Must be to clear the srodhasis. This is told in the text clearly to Shuddha srodhas. To make the srodhasis clear, we apply this nasya. That Dhumapana must be creating a dry environment within the nasal mucosa by reducing those secretions and must be helping in the easy absorption of this thyla or the swarsa whichever we are administering.
We have one more question. It's from Manisha Bhagat. How can we differentiate whether it is nasal discharge or CSF discharge after Nasya?
You may have to do lab examination. Culture will have to be done. Okay.
Thank you, Miss.
Otherwise, it's very watery secretion.
Thank you,
Besides,
ma'am.
there will be symptoms in Adiyoga of Nasya. Only such cases, such symptoms will develop. So there may be associated clinical symptoms with this Mastulanga Agama or Rekta Agama. In Ashtanga Sangraha and Acharya says about Rekta Agama.
One more question is, ma'am, how Nasya acts on menstrual disorders according to Ayurvediya Shariram by Joel, final year student.
And that was explained, no? It should be influencing that hypothalamus pituitary axis through the chemoreceptors in the brain, in the nose. It should be stimulating those by stimulating the chemoreceptor, the nasal sensory organ, which has pathways to the hypothalamus. So by stimulating that hypothalamus limbic axis, it must be influencing the endocrinal secretions, thus causing the menstrual, but must be causing an influence in the menstrual pathologies. Like all menstrual pathologies, we cannot do Nasya. Only those which have endocrinal background. I think Nasya will be effective.
In Nasartha and Nasa polyps, nasal polyps, which Nasya we usually do and for how many days in drugs?
That I think that more than Nasya, when there is polyp and all, I think the Chalakya people can explain it very clearly. In nasal polyp, actually, we don't do Nasya. Only if there is the nasal passage is patent, only we can perform Nasya, isn't it? And for polyp and all, we need not go for that Nasya itself. We usually do that Gunja Leba and all. As well as nowadays there is Nasa Arsha Taila, which we can just apply and reduce the nasal polyp. Actually, when we have to be very careful while administering medicine into the nose, because even the Anutaila, which is advised to be used regularly, can cause nasal irritation. Then, though we say that a nasal route is a very favorable route for drug delivery, the nasal irritation is a very important limitation of this route.
Okay.
Okay.
I think yes. So towards the end, I think before we go to the summary of the session by Angela, some of our experiences we would like to share with our students too over here. First of all, Madam was explaining about Madam's area also was to discuss the mode of action of NASIA. A few are experiences for you. I mean, I would also like to share this thing with our Vinita Madam too. In my clinical practice for last 3 to 4 or 5 years, probably, NASIM I had tried to observe with respect to procedure, with respect to medicine, with respect to matra as such. Because as you all know, Bindu Pramanam and what is Bindu as such, and it has been standardized as 0.5 ml each Bindu. And usually the practice is just drop wise. And I think in your NASIA classes, your teachers will be telling you, but from the clinical perspective, when the Bindu, as far as Bindu changes with respect to Taila as well as the drug that we use, if it is Kashaya, it has been standardized to be 0.2 ml, and if it is Taila, it is 0.5 ml. In all cases that we admit over here with Pratimarsha NASIA, we tell 2 Bindu each nostril, that is 1 ml each nostril, and hence a 10 ml bottle of Ksheerabala has to be getting finished by almost 5 days. So if we are giving NASIA in that much dose, what happens is definitely response of the patient is much better. So it's very important that we practice the dosage of NASIA as mentioned in Shastra, which has been specifically telling about. So that's my observation. Earlier when used to do just drop wise, and now we have this after our PG discussions and all, we have started doing in this particular matra. And I think this question asked with respect to 64 Bindu and 32 Bindu as per Susruta, the reference like this Tirva Nasya Majreja Avaishadakshaya Devam, second or third installation is a possibility. And then if the total amount what we usually discuss is the total amount mentioned by Susruta is also considering second or third installation, which has not been specifically told by Susruta as such. And I think in Pakshagata cases, I have tried second or third installation for 2 to 3 cases, wherein the first we were instilling first dosage was instilled to the patient, and we were observing how evacuation was there and how proper evacuation was happening or not. So if there was no proper evacuation of kapha and the feeling of lagutva etc. to the patient, we used to give once again Svedana and then administer second dosage in the same sitting. So second, when we do Svedana, it is reference from Ashtanga Sangraham that we can do Svedana before and after in Nasya other than Paitika conditions. So I used to do I used to be there during the procedure, and the second time we used to do the Nasya. I mean second again we used to do Ushna Sveda and then instill the second dosage of Nasya of almost 1 or 2 ml each nostril. So when we go second installation, the output of the kapha as well as the feeling of Srota Lagutvam subjective the patient was much higher. Pakshe, it was always observed that when the patient's Sattva Bala plus the patient's Sharirika Bala is low, this second or third installation was not having, I mean, I had done 2 installations very commonly in Pakshagata. The patient was responding in a not very positive way, but the patient Bala is good, that was very fine. One more very peculiar experience for me with Nasya wherein I was observing was I was doing Nasya to a Parkinson's patients. We were doing it with Sahasrati Thailam 7-hourthi. So what was happening is my intention is to correct the Apana Samana Prana axis. So naturally Shiras is the sthana of Prana Vayu Alochakapita Tarpaka Kapha, And Tarpaka Kapha is that thing that controls the whole, what you call it as the supportivity of even other kaphas. So controlling, so initially Shodhana was done, like Vasti and all was done. And then towards the end, we were planning Nasyam. So what happened was we started doing Nasyam to the patient, Sahasradi Tailam. Every day, there was no evacuation. Patient used to do Nasyam, but nothing used to come out. So I just increased the dosage from 1 ml we started each nostril. We went on to 2 ml each nostril. We went on to 3 ml each nostril. We were giving Sahasradi Tailam. Initially, we started with Anu Tailam for 2 days, and then we went on to Sahasradi Tailam. But there was no evacuation, and I was confused what was happening. Patient, we were asking, Enda bajji thuppu ille, enakku onnum thonunilla. That was the thing. So naturally, what was happening was that we increased the dose, still the same thing happening. And we observed that there was Agni Mandhyam to the patient. Agni Mandhyam was continuing. 3rd day, 4th day, patient started telling Veshapilya and all. So I was thinking, Pranavayu was affected. We had done Koshta Shodhana. I thought the patient is indicated for Nasyam, but why she is responding like that? That was my question. So over a period, I observed if the medicine is not coming out, if the medicine is even not coming out, where it has gone? So probably that medicine might be engulfed by the patient. Okay, naturally, that might have gone through the oropharyngeal route to the stomach. Probably that was the reason that she might be having Agni Mandhyam. So I was thinking, what is happening? So again, I was on 4th or 5th day, I was observing. So the patient was unable to have it, to have these medicines in a very, in a very inhaling methodology, patient was unable to have it. And I have observed patients who are having neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's disease, like Alzheimer's disease and all, this capacity to inhale the medicine has been decreased actually. So probably we may be putting it and she is having it, but this capacity to inhale, or probably the way madam has shown, the route of the, spread of the nasal administration of medicine was somewhere blocked when we were considering this neurodegenerative procedure. So as madam told, the way we do the procedure, in cases, wherein Acharya has specifically told that Namni Shirasi Unnati Padam, when Padam was not Unnati, the evacuation was much lesser. Even that I had observed. The posture of the patient, which is to be considered with respect to administration of procedure as a therapy, that Kinchit Namni Shirasi and Unnati Padam, when Padam was not Unnati and Shirasi was, even that was affecting the, patient's outcome with respect to our procedure. So the way procedure is done, the medicine that we are selecting, at what time it is being done, all these aspects, becomes relevant. And especially with Nasyam, what I feel is, the mantra. Towards the end, one thing I would like to, I was surprised to meet a group of Ayurveda enthusiasts who are allopathic doctors from Italy at SNA. So when I was seeing them, I was there for a class, I saw one bottle of Anu Tailam with all of them. So I thought, why are you keeping this Anu Tailam? So what they were telling was, we are having food, so that is a Pratimarsha Nasya Kala, and we are doing Pratimarsha Nasyam after Anu Tailam. I mean, after we have food. See, there are 14 Pratimarsha Kalas. How many of us as Ayurvedic students, as Ayurvedic practitioners, practice Nasya? We say it is a part of Dinacharya, Pratimarsha Nasya. We say it as a preventive aspect. How many of us, especially with respect to students, how many of us we write lectures on Nasyam and all? It's very important that we practice Nasya ourselves. And for that, I have observed those people when I was interacting with those international delegates from, they were allopathic doctors from Germany and Russia. They were telling how good they were feeling after this particular thing. There was, of course, according to individual, the Agni status and all was differing, and the way they respond, but they were telling they were feeling more happy. And there was a lady who was 70 plus who had come to me and telling, whenever I feel sleepy, I do this one. And their way of doing Nasya, I think Nambi sir had taught them, is just applying oil, and they just have a, they just smell it like that, or just make it inside. rather than putting each drop, but something is always better than nothing. So I think that, yeah, definitely even at that particular point, I mean, that is one of the way that we can practice Nasya. So I think after we discuss mode of action of Nasya, all of you, or rather all of us at least at this point, when madam has told it as very specific thing, as a preventive aspect to Palithyam and all other cases, which has been told, you know, among Panchakarma, the only procedure that has been told as a part of Dinacharya is Nasyam. No other Panchakarma, Vamana, Virajana, Vasti has never been told as a part of Dinacharya. Everything in Rutucharya according to season, but Nasyam has been included in Dinacharya. It is because of this importance, and I feel if we make our public also use this Nasya as a part of life, okay, like is was a part of life. Adipole, to a great extent, we can prevent even the cerebrovascular attacks, to a great extent, neurodegenerative diseases, and this is the only model. And I think this is one thing that we can make our people around practice, and we also practice ourselves. I think this session may be an inspiration for all of us to practice Nasya. Okay, just not to listen how it is happening, because you know, once you practice Nasya, because I'm telling it so confidently because I'm doing it. Okay, especially it was, I think, very personally speaking, this lockdown time, whenever I was getting time, you know, I do it, and I could see the difference what I was feeling it. Okay, so whenever I get time, because we are engaged and we never get time, but whenever I get time, I do it morning or evening. One, I started doing it even though not regularly, so I could see the difference. If it was no proper evacuation, some headache will be there, so I have to try to do that. Sometimes some irritation in the nose will be there, sometimes some irritation in the throat will be there. So we understand how it's happening because of with respect to the weather or the food that we have. So all these things can be experienced only when we do it in ourselves. So I think at least at the end of this particular session, all of us, all of you must എന്നാണ് എനിക്ക് എപ്പോഴും തോന്നിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. Okay, so I think we end up towards the end. I call upon, I think, Anjala, final year Ashtangam, for the summary of the session. Anjala?
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah, you are audible, Anjala.
Okay. Good evening. Let me give you a summary of what has been conducted over the last 2 months. So, our second session under the Karma Siddhi series, and today's topic was mode of action of Nasya. In this session, ma'am unravels the why, what, and how of the procedure Nasya Karma, and discuss the many possibilities that students can look forward to. Ma'am started with the importance of Nasya, such as it is told for daily practice, Dinacharya, and it is Ajanma Marana Shastam. Then she explained why Nasya was told later in the text, that Thai Shuddhi should be performed before Ultra Shuddhi. Then she talked about the common indications in which Nasya has been practiced, like Ardhita and many other neurological conditions. Also, ma'am discussed about some of the yogas like Devadali Thalavasa used in jaundice-like disorders. The session outlined the possible use of rare varieties of Nasya also, like Arkadi Nasya, Indrani Taila Nasya, Lohidanda, etc. And the importance of nasal route was described, that it's a non-invasive route and directly absorbed to the systemic circulation, rapid attainment of therapeutic blood levels, large surface area is there, etc. And nasal route is preferred in unconscious, even in unconscious patients. It is easily accessible or convenient route. Then covered the limitations of nasal route, that it may cause nasal irritation, less absorption area, mucosal damage due to frequent use, and possible nasal congestion which interferes the drug delivery. Then ma'am quoted the reference of Nasi Karmugata told in Ashtanga Sangraha. We have seen that Sringadaka Marma holds great significance. An example was also there, just like Ishika is removed from the Trina, the Dosha Samhati is removed from Uttamanga through Nasya. Then mode of action was explained mainly under three headings, that's structure, procedure, and medicine. Anatomy and physiology of nose were well described. An important point was that collapse of nasal mucosa during administration of Nasya is prevented by the rigidity of bones and cartilage. Then functions of nasal wall was told. Maximum absorption is happened in the respiratory area of nose. There was a pictorial representation along with all this. Blood supply to the nasal cavity was explained, including the significance of cavernous plexus. Regarding the lymphatic supply and nerve supply to the nasal cavity, we have seen that olfactory nerves are non-mediated. Chemoreceptors like vomeronasal organ was explained. Cause for Astalinga agama was revealed by ma'am. Role of Sringadaka Marma along with references was there, which can be correlated to the cavernous sinus. And we have seen how the Purva Karma, posture, and Pashchat Karma of Nasya favor the mode of action. The pharmacological action and mechanism of drug absorption in relation with the types of drugs were detailed. Hyperosmotic feature of Nasidravya was explained, and we have heard how the mode of administration influences the distribution of drugs. A study conducted by Dr. Devi Nair was discussed with us. Also briefly described about the practical ways of different kinds of Nasya administration. The excretory, stimulatory, and absorptory mode of action was detailed. The session offered our delegates an opportunity to know more about Nasya, and it helped to identify how this knowledge can be applied and adopted to their own future clinical practice based on the condition of the patient. We learned a lot from attending the session. It was insightful to be able to clear our doubts also by asking questions, and with the words from our dear MMM also. So we hope all of you will make time to rethink about what we have discussed here. A slight dilemma is always going to be there for us regarding the selection of drugs, complications of Nasya, etc. And I think it has to be rectified with continuous learning, hard work, and clinical practice. Of course, by making use of valuable words from scholars of Ayurveda like Binita ma'am. As we all know, Abhyasat Prapyate Drishti. The future of Ayurveda is in our hands. So we people have to make use of these informations to accelerate our learning. Well, I think that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. So we are reaching the end point of our session. So as a part of our appreciation and love to Binita Madam, we request her to receive e-certificate from us, appreciating her effort to spend time with us and sharing her valuable insights and knowledge with us. Thank you, Binita Madam. Thank you once again for you being with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I call upon, okay, Madam. I call upon Arya, final year, for the vote of thanks. Arya?
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible, Arya.
Okay, ma'am. Honorable resource person, respected teachers, organizing committee, delegates, and my dear friends, a very warm good evening to all. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this second session of Karma Siddhi 2020, organized by Panchakarma Department of Ashtangam Ayurveda Vidyapeetham. Today, we had an interesting session on mode of action of Nasya. So, let me move on to my duty. I, on the behalf of Ashtangam Ayurveda Vidyapeetham, extend a very hearty thanks to our resource person, Dr. Binita Ma'am, Professor, Department of Panchakarma, VPSV Ayurveda College, Kottakkal. Thank you, ma'am. We are extremely grateful for our Panchakarma department for providing such great opportunity. So, I thank Vaidin Remya ma'am, HOD of Department Ashtangam, and Vaidin Sri Parvati ma'am, Assistant Professor of Panchakarma Department Ashtangam. Thank you, ma'am. I would also extend my gratitude to Vaidin Purushothaman sir, HOD of Shailendra Department and Medical Superintendent of Ashtangam, and Vaidin Arun sir, HOD of Kaumarabhrityam Department of Ashtangam, for their valuable felicitation. Thank you, sir. Everything went well due to God Almighty power. I thank Subhana, final year student of Ashtangam, for reciting prayer for our session. I would also thank Kiran Biraj, final year student of Ashtangam, for giving welcome note for this session. I thank Anjala, final year student of Ashtangam, for summarizing the session. Last but not least, I thank all delegates and my classmates for your enthusiastic participation. Thank you all.
We hereby end the session, and we await once again your presence for our next session coming week. Thank you, Binita madam. Thank you all. We are very happy to have all of you over here and expect such active participation even in forthcoming sessions. Thank you. We end the meeting here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
ഞാൻ